How's it going? 4th Battalion Crucible calls back at it again. However, this time, little unique situation we got going on today. This podcast, Joe and I, we're not really going to play the part of a co-host so much as we are guests on our own podcast this week. We want to get down to the sophomore level this time, having gone through a lot of the senior class at this point, talk to the freshmen as well. Now it's our time to shine and talk about what we think about 4th Battalion. Or if you want to think about it a different way, we have a third co-host joining us today in Cadet Smallwood from November Company. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi guys, I'm Aiden. I'm mechanical engineering. I'm in VPI right now, VPI battalion. So it's a little bit about me.
Got a lot of VPI representation on this specific podcast this week, and by that I mean 100% VPI representation.
Yep.
But besides that, business as usual. So, with that being said, Joe, would you like to take it away?
Sure. I'll go ahead and ask the first question. So this is for all of us because no co-host really this time. Just kind of everyone just talking. So what's something that like you really enjoyed about not being a freshman anymore? Like I feel like that's a pretty easy one and should have some pretty strong opinions here.
You want to go first, Aiden?
Yeah, I'll totally get this one. I think I mean the freedom's obviously nice, but I think what's kind of been the best so far is the sophomore shuffle. Like my shuffle has been great. I'm super close with all the people that have shuffled into November. And I'm close with my buds too. So it's really cool to kind of have that big mix in diversity. Like my class is really cool so far. And we've had like a lot of fun company events, stuff like that.
Yeah. And now you can now you're not forced to hang out with anyone. You can
Yeah.
choose who you hang out with, which isn't shade at anyone for the record. I realize how that might have come off, but that is a freedom that, normally you'd think, oh, well, I'm gonna go hang out with this person today. Not
Yeah.
during freshman year, especially during pass. It was like, you're going to hang out with this person this year.
Yeah.
That's
That's
not
so
my
that's so true. Like to be able to have that freedom of like hanging out with people is really fun. But it's like the mandatory fun thing. It's like sometimes you don't want to hang out with someone at that time.
Yeah, mandatory fun. Everyone's favorite two words. Yay. For me, though, I think I would probably say dragging. And that's probably that's a very basic answer, I'm sure, because it's like that's one of the big things about freshman years, dragging and sounding off. It's like pick your poison. For me, though, the dragging was always just um I've gained so much time back from not having to drag. It's insane, honestly. Because now I can leave for class instead of trying to plan out so many different times. It's like, okay, what if there's upperclassmen that I have to sound off to? What how far am I going? Which exit am I gonna take? How far away is the class? Now I just go, oh, look at the time to go, and I leave. I just leave. And that was such a weird feeling the first time walking past the rock, like walking across that plaza and not having to go on the outside of that diamond. That was a bit strange. So, but I don't miss it. I don't miss it. And then Joe, it
All
sounded
right,
like you had
yeah.
an answer to that yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of touching off of both y'all. It's like I'm not gonna lie, it's nice not having to drag anymore. I remember last year the water fountain was right next to my room on the left. So I had to go all the way around to go get some water. So it's definitely nice just going like boop.
Yeah,
And also like the shuffle, I feel like the Oscar shuffle's been great too. Like touching off what you said, Smallwood, like I felt like a lot of people last year, like you're never gonna meet people like your buds again. And that's true. But I feel like our sophomore shuffle, like we're all willingly like hanging out with each other. It's not like mandatory fun. It's not like, all right, go Superman. It's like, hey, you want to go get dinner or something? Chill. It's nice hanging out with different people and meeting like different perspectives. And yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Would Ethan, you want to ask questions, Smallwood?
I've got one a bit brewing back in the old brain. And I would say, obviously what at least what my upperclassmen told me was red phase. This is your guys' like reward for making it through freshman year. Sophomore red phase, you got nothing going on really, unless you make it so. You can sit back, you can relax a bit. And now once white phase starts and more leadership positions, people take and stuff like that, that's when things start to step up a bit. How would you say, do you guys miss red phase already, even though it's literally been like 3 weeks for us or something crazy like that? But there was a lot more time during red phase for us as opposed to like freshman year.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like red phase as a sophomore, it's like I've been told too, and I like experiencing it now. It's so true. Like it's the freest time you'll have in the entire time in the Corps, because unless you like have some organization or something else, you really have no responsibility for those first little while, except for like academics and basic core things. So you can really just like have fun and get to know people and do like fun company events, which is very different from like freshman year, where it's like always locked on. You can't really go have fun. uh, yeah, I thought it was so much fun, and now it's kind of a grind, but still fun, still fun.
Still fun.
Yeah,
Same.
definitely agree.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like now that we're getting into midterms and stuff too. Like, I feel like the homework's kind of picked up a little bit. Like, it's not just warming up anymore. It's kind of like a sprint to get through. And also with core stuff, like I mean, beginning of red phase like this year, like my only obligation was really like events and football games for like skipper and everyone else in the core. They also had those obligations. So that was really all I had to factor in. But now it's like, when am I going to study for that exam? When am I going to get that homework done? So, and then also like core activities, just little stuff will pop up. And yeah, it's definitely getting busier.
Yeah,
And I don't say that to be like doom and gloom. Oh my goodness, the fun is over. But I think one of in case there's like any freshman that ever watches this specific podcast, if you listen to this, enjoy your red face sophomore year. It goes by quickly and you don't get that time back. Make the most of it. It's a perfect time, as you guys said, especially like post shuffle for you guys. At least for, band doesn't shuffle, but we were split between two buildings. So now that that sort of divide wasn't there, I was able to hang out with a whole bunch of people I didn't really get to hang out with last year and get to know them. Same thing for you guys. You got to experience the sophomore shuffle and then go out and hang out with these people on your own time without any sort of other responsibilities besides the basic core events as we were talking about. So
well, I got a little bit of a question. I know neither one of you are on third floor of like the new building, but what do you guys think of like how the new building is kind of set up, like with only like primarily sophomores on the third floor and regular students living in the dorms with us?
yeah, I'll
Um,
let Joe answer this first because since I'm not living there, I do have opinions on it.
Yeah.
So that's not to say that I don't, but I think Joe's is going to be more valid on this. So I'll wait to hear what he has to say.
all right. I mean, I'm on the second floor of Upper Quad Hall North, and so Smallwood's like right above me. But yeah, like it's I feel like it's honestly it's pretty similar to the experience I had last year, like in November. Right in November, we shared the dorms with civilians, so for me it just kind of feels like it doesn't feel different. It's just kind of like that's something you share with the normal people, and you just kind of coexist. I mean, you respect them, they respect you, and that's not necessarily something that like I feel like it's a big deal. But I feel like something that Oscar has like not really a problem with, but something that like definitely there is a little bit of a divide between the sophomores just because of the floors, but we still hang out a ton. It's just we could be a whole lot closer if like all the sophomores were on the same floor, but we had a couple sophomores on the second floor and then like a majority of them on the second or the third floor. So, but we still hang out a ton. It's just it was a little more of like a warm up. Like we had to like actively like go get food or something to get to know each other.
Yeah. It's for us at least, it's we have a few people on the second floor in November, so it's kind of the same vibe of like, you have to either go down there, they come up. but we do pretty well with it too. It's just more effort. I really like it the way it's set up because as like a sophomore, being on the third floor, there's no freshmen, so you don't hear like the dragging or the sounding off. It's like being in our own little bubble, and you get that interaction with like the normal students, so you can kind of feel like a normal student too. Times like just hanging out in the lounge, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things you guys brought up was being sort of isolated, having that bubble, no freshmen to bother you or wake you up from a nice nap as they sound off going, pin my arms, pin my arms, pin my arms. Delightful, absolutely, absolutely delightful. But I'm on the basement of Pearsonal East right now, and no freshmen come down here for the most part. And if they do, they're doing laundry, and there's no sounding off in the basement. So it still feels pretty isolated down here, at least, and it's like almost entirely banned and all male down here. It's honestly, it's a bit of a party down here sometimes. I quite like it. Um, not in the bad way either. Like not, you know what I'm trying to say. Uh, however, with regards to your guys' specific situation in Euquin, I don't know how I feel about, I guess, regular civilian students living in the dorms. I don't think it's necessarily a problem or issue. But for the people that are certainly aren't expecting it, because it's mostly freshmen, right? Like they put freshman students in UQuinn for the regular students for the most part, right?
It's
Is my
only
understanding.
it's only freshman normal
It's only
students.
freshmen. Yeah. If they don't know exactly what the core is about or what they're getting into, I'm sure they've adjusted at this point, but I heard that they were certainly very surprised for those first few weeks living there. And it's just if they're I know that that can cause some friction, and I think it did at the beginning of the semester. I don't think it's an issue now, but if it does continue to be something that they do every year, which as far as I'm aware, band should be joining you next year, hopefully. But if they don't for some reason or another, it still works and it's still a good experience for everyone all around. And like you said, can coexist just fine. But I know that while it may not be as problematic for the cadets themselves, the regular students might not want to be there all the time as much because they're like, oh, they're yelling at them again. Look at that. Or like Friday night. Tonight's Friday night. It's training pass. Things are gonna go down there. I just know they are. And they're gonna be like, I'm just trying to either do homework or enjoy or something like that. So,
Well,
you know,
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of the third floor is because there's no freshmen, the only training areas, like official training areas, are like second floor and not really first floor, but mainly just second. So as like a November upperclassman on third floor, I don't even hear their pass unless you go in the elevator.
really,
Yeah. So the regular students, unless they accidentally go on one of those floors, they don't get bothered by it too much. Now
okay.
they don't interact with us that much if with like stuff like that. Like I know some girls down the hall who won't go into the lounge because it's the cadet lounge. They think it's weird or whatever, but that's like very few people. Yeah.
Yeah, something I'll add is like you mentioned the elevators, like hearing it. So being on second floor, like I do hear like them being like pin my arms. I'll wake up from a nap sometimes. They're like, oh, that's not me. All right, cool. I'm gonna go back to sleep. But going through the elevators sometimes it is kind of funny because you'll just like you'll be in the elevator with like a normal student and then they'll just be like, are they okay? Like, what's going on? I was like, oh no, they're fine. We did that last year. It's just discipline. And they're
They
like,
got it easy. What are you talking about?
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's just kind of funny to see their looks, but they understand. It's just sometimes it catches them a little off guard. So, like, as far as the coexisting goes, but something Smallwood you were talking about a little bit before this podcast started that I think we should talk about is you've been really working hard on the cultural stuff for November, and we've mentioned that in podcasts before. But I'd like to like hear from you, like, how have you been making that happen?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to my chain gave me the position of like the company culture person, and like the goofy funny title is like the Jarl, the Viking chief or whatever. But I've actually really enjoyed it because it's been like really fun to like decide and plan like what we do. Like for the month of November, because we're November company, we want to do like a bunch of stuff since it's our month. So it's kind of my job to like plan what we want to do. And we're talking about I believe we're actually most likely going to invite band to one of our events because we're going to do the Matthew Laporte run. We're going to do that run.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so that's something that's in the works right now. I'm about to finish that awkward date, but so stuff like that and like having fun events like a hike, possibly like a bonfire and this really cool feast at the end of the month. Stuff like that has been really fun to plan. And like having someone that can like who's good at like morale stuff or like interacting with other people can really get people motivated for it. So I know like a lot of especially the sophomores are very excited for the stuff that we have planned. Like November's coming up in like 3 4 days, and what I've came up with to announce it is like we'll have like a formal announcement sent out to anyone, but we made album covers. So really cool album covers of any of the upperclassmen who wanted to come. We hosted a photo shoot. One of my old buds is like borderline a professional photographer. So I had him come by and we had like a whole photo shoot in the lounge. It was really a lot of fun, bunch of cool stuff. And we turned them in, I edited them in Photoshop and we're turning them into album covers. And then we'll probably get them developed. And on the back of them, it's gonna like list everything that we're doing in the month of November. So like stuff like that is just really cool to be able to have like control over. And I know people enjoy it. Like I've showed a few people their photos and like seeing them like love their photos is really cool feeling. And like it's cool to kind of do, you know, because like other companies I know struggle a little bit with culture. So I think that's one thing that we as fourth bat do really well, or at least starting to do really well.
I agree. And
Yeah.
we were just talking about this pre-recording session as well. We had hosted a podcast a little while ago. Well, it seems like every time we host this podcast, it gets brought up. But we talk about Fourth Battalion and its general culture and all the company cultures. And the word that keeps circling around is identity. Like they have their own identity. Oscars is all about the fortune and boldness and glory and whatnot. And then November, you've got like the absolute Viking themes and everything. And then, the Heidi Tidies and band and stuff like that. Ride the lightning, the thunder. Um, the point being, they all have those identities. And I do agree. It's not a slight against any of their companies or anything. But besides some of the few standouts like Alphas, which their whole thing is being first effectively, and then some other ones thrown in there, like Foxtrot with the cannon and stuff like that. Uh, some of them don't have so much of an identity, if that makes sense. Once again, not a slight against them, but because that was set up a long time ago, so it was on the people who came before to have put those ground rules down. You're the one putting those ground rules down now, so you're the one that gets to sort of make this up as it goes along and create these traditions. All I can say though is that it looks like you're going to make it really hard for the freshmen to want to leave November
Yeah,
during the
they've already
sophomore
been saying
shuffle.
stuff like that, which is so fun.
Yeah, all the people who are going to shuffle in, they don't know how good they're going to get it.
Yeah.
But I do think that it will make like you just said, shuffling out of something like Oscar in November or something like that, when they've got such a set in stone, this is who we are, this is who your freshman class is. Oh, until you turn, and then goodbye, off with you. It's the nature of the beast, though. But I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, that was definitely like with my sophomore class or my bad freshman class. Like we we kind of prided the TC on being like one of the closer TCs. Like everyone hung out with each other, everyone really liked each other. And then like a lot of people like saying the same thing that the freshmen are saying now. It repeats itself. Like they love the company. They almost don't want to really leave. Uh, and I think by the end of the year, everyone was excited to leave, even though they would be like we'd be leaving each other. I think the sophomore shuffle is like a really good thing, even
Yeah.
though a lot of freshmen like initially start out saying they might not want to leave their company right now. I feel like by the end of the year they're kind of ready and like it's usually a pretty good thing. I think that shuffle.
And it is there are pros and cons to the sophomore shuffle, and we've got both sides of the coin here right now. On the one hand, if you don't ever shuffle, such as like band does, uh, you get really tight traditions, really tight bonds, and everyone knows each other and they work well together as well. Like you, like these are people that you know and have known for 4 years once you get to be a senior. Uh, you know how to work with them like no one else, and it becomes a well-oiled machine. However, comma, at that point you also get stuck in with uh bad habits that could form out of things like that, and don't ever get that breath of fresh air from incoming or outside, forces and stuff like that, which has always been, I felt at least that's kind of like the point of the sophomore shuffle, is to disperse all this leadership around and all these different lessons and ideas throughout the regiment, except for us. So, oh well. But like I said, pros and cons.
Yeah, definitely. Like I going from November to Oscar, I was kind of in a similar situation to you, Ethan, where like I still shuffled, but like I still knew a lot of the same people. But like all the other people who shuffled in, like it's great because getting to meet new people, that's something like in the real world, like you're definitely going to need
Mhm.
to know how to do and like be pretty friendly because you're gonna get in like whether it be the civilian role, military, we're all VPI, so probably civilian or something along those
More than
lines, or
likely.
OCS or something. But regardless of where we end up, something that's really important is like being able to work with anybody because sometimes you might not necessarily 100% agree with someone on something, but if you can like put aside your differences and just get an objective done, that's going to make you go far.
Yeah.
And something else I'd also like to add is it's great hearing from Smallwood that they're carrying on a lot of those November traditions, like really hyping up November. I really appreciate that coming from N26, but like the Matthew Laporte run, like that was a very like that was something I definitely remember, and like that's a very meaningful run that like really stuck with me.
Yeah. Where there's a bunch of things that like have like planned in the back. Like I know you were the barber for N26 and you had that little robe. So a freshman's gonna be getting that and he's gonna be the TC barber announced at the start of November. It's kind of just a cool little it's a small little things that kind of will stick with you and I think are kind of cool for the month.
I,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
was gonna ask if you could pull back or peel back the curtain on some of the stuff you had planned, but you mentioned a lot of the stuff already. There was one thing that kind of stood out to me. I heard the word feast, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so nothing's set in stone right now, but there's this really cool place. I hate to say it on the podcast because then everyone's gonna go there, but the football team apparently goes there. It's called it's some type of marina at Claytor Lake, and you can rent like boats, and they have live music, food, ice cream. I've been there before, and it's a really cool place. So, excuse me, the end of the year, like directly the week after we get back from Thanksgiving break, we're hoping to go there as the end of month celebration, and we call it the feast. And we're probably gonna, if everything goes right to plan, we're probably gonna rent a boat and have some food and live music, and it's kind of just like a little end of year party or end of month
End of
party.
end of November's time,
Yeah,
their big month. I can totally picture McDonald holding like that shield
yeah.
and an axe on the bow of a boat,
I wish
just
I
like
had.
screaming.
I
I
wish I
don't,
had the
that's my
sophomore shield
mental
here.
image.
Yeah, I wish I had the sophomore shield in my room because we got done with that and I helped make it and I threw it in a CNC machine, which is a really cool machine, and we like carved a bunch of designs in it. So
It came out really, when I saw that at the battalion time, that's the, I'm thinking of the right shield, right?
the brown one,
Yes.
yeah,
And
that's
it's got like, it literally looks exactly how you would imagine a historically accurate Viking shield would look, especially with the iron like dome in the center of it to help deflect stuff. It
yeah,
came out really nicely.
yeah. It was a really cool process to make. It was so annoying though. Those machines suck, but
But cool stuff. So
yeah, lots of cool stuff going on. And
Yeah,
I think that's also like a big part of fourth bat right now because I know talking to like other upperclassmen like juniors and seniors right now, that's something fourth bat kind of like struggled with was in the past, like because we just stood up, like culture or unity and stuff. I feel like the sophomores right now are really like what's making fourth back so great because like a lot of them are really motivated and they're a lot of like really cool people and they really have kind of like drink the Kool-Aid type of thing. Like they've really bought into fourth bat type vibe.
Yeah, that was
Yep.
actually something I remember. Uh, there were a few people I talked to. I won't name names because one, I imagine that their opinions have changed, and two, like you don't want to reveal something like this for people, and you'll see where I'm going with this when I get to my point. Um, Back when we shuffled in May and those came out and those results came out, and I was talking with people who just got shuffled into fourth bet. They didn't seem like the most thrilled by the prospect of it at the time. They were the new companies, they were going to be in the new dorms, which, it's cool to be in the new dorms, yes, but you're also kind of relegated off of upper quad compared to everyone else. And also they were like, and we're with the band. Oh, yeah, yeah. But I think those opinions definitely, at least talking with some of them since, those opinions changed really, really quickly throughout red phase. They may have not been thrilled about the prospect of fourth bat at the time, but having since been a part of it now and been a part of Oscar and mostly Oscar were the people that I knew from, but also November, like you said, there's no better apt description than they drank the Kool-Aid and now they've fallen hook, line, and sinker in for this culture.
Yeah. I know the same thing. Like there's a few of my good friends who were like so disappointed that they got shuffled into fourth bat and now they love it.
Yeah, definitely. I heard that from like some of the people like before like experience in fourth bat, like the fourth bat community. And like I think a lot of people really touch on it. Like it's like a family. But a lot of people weren't super hyped coming here. But I think they're really liking it now. Like I can't see one of them not smiling, just like enjoying like the new building, like great culture because like a lot of my cadre last year in November, something they really stressed on us was like you need to make a culture. Like you're gonna set the hype for like creating these new companies and like
For the next 150 years, as per the tagline.
exactly. So like something they really stressed on us and is really carried on to the sophomores, which I'm really excited to see, is like everyone's putting in the effort. Like everyone wants to like make their companies great and make sure that they can last like the 150 years, like you're saying. And I think it's great. All right, and I think that honestly, I think that hits our time. Like I don't want to take up too much more of y'all's time, and I think
On a Friday evening, too.
Well,
yeah, but yeah, like thanks for coming out, Smallwood,
yeah,
and
appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
yeah, no
Thank you so
problem.
much.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up. Thanks for
The
coming.
fourth bat representation was real here today.
Yep. All right. Take care, y'all. Bye.